Nestled at the northwestern base of Mount Fuji lies 30 square kilometers of towering evergreens. From above, it looks like a frozen, undulating green ocean, which is exactly why the Japanese call it Jukai, the sea of trees. But step beneath the canopy, and the environment drastically shifts. Pale sunlight barely reaches the jagged, moss-covered floor. The dense foliage and bizarre terrain swallow sound almost immediately, creating a heavy, suffocating silence, devoid of wind or birdsong. This striking geology actually makes the forest a popular tourist destination. Visitors hike well-trodden trails to see breathtaking natural wonders, like the Narusawa Ice Cave, where ancient frozen stalagmites glow in the dark caverns year-round. Yet, at the edges of these tourist paths, the atmosphere abruptly changes. Official signs are mounted to the trunks of the trees, carrying urgent pleas in Japanese.
They ask visitors to think carefully about their families, to remember that their lives are a precious gift, and to contact the police. These signs mark the boundary of Aokigahara, known globally as the suicide forest. To understand how a beautiful patch of ancient geology evolved into a psychological labyrinth, we have to look at the exact forces that built it and the fictions that reshaped it. This map shows the historical path of a massive volcanic eruption from Mount Fuji in the year 864. The lava flowed heavily down the mountain's flank and pooled across the landscape, eventually cooling into a sprawling 30-square-kilometer plateau. That cooled lava formed a highly porous, iron-rich basalt. The rock is essentially a giant geological sponge. Its jagged crevices and holes literally trap ambient sound waves, creating that unnatural, disorienting quiet that blankets the forest floor. Because the basalt is densely packed with iron, it heavily distorts local magnetic fields. Compasses spin uselessly. GPS signals falter beneath the thick canopy and rocky earth. If you step off the trail into an environment where every tree looks identical, it is incredibly easy to lose your bearings. The extreme isolation experienced inside Aokigahara is the result of fluid dynamics, cooling rates, and electromagnetism working together to engineer a perfect natural trap. Long before modern navigation, the Japanese viewed dark, dense forests as liminal spaces. Local folklore easily mapped onto Aokigahara's oppressive atmosphere, framing it as a wandering ground for restless ghosts and a historical site for the practice of abandoning the elderly during times of famine. That ancient, quiet unease crystallized into a modern crisis in 1960. The prominent Japanese crime writer Seicho Matsumoto published a widely successful novel called Tower of Waves. In the final pages of the book, two star-crossed lovers walk deep into Aokigahara to end their lives. The tragedy resonated deeply with readers, and almost immediately, fiction provided a script for reality. The forest's identity shifted in the national consciousness. In 1993, a controversial bestseller called The Complete Manual of Suicide explicitly listed Aokigahara as an ideal place to die. It clinically highlighted the forest's physical isolation, noting the high likelihood that a person's final moments would remain undisturbed. The geography of the forest didn't change, but its meaning did. Decades of compounding tragic narratives and grim guidebooks weaponized the natural isolation, turning a quiet geological wonder into a fatal magnet for vulnerable people. Venture off the designated paths, and the terrain quickly turns into an unmapped, repetitive expanse of dark volcanic rock and tangled roots. It is a hostile environment where any sense of direction immediately vanishes. Ribbons of colored plastic tape are frequently found tied to these trees. People entering the forest while contemplating suicide use these markers as a way to find our path back should they change their minds. To recover those who don't return, police and volunteers conduct grueling annual sweeps. The featureless green is so disorienting that the searchers must physically tether themselves to long ropes, trailing them behind just to scour the hollows without disappearing themselves. The solemn reality of these searches was disrupted in 2017. An American internet personality filmed and joked about a victim inside the forest, broadcasting the footage to millions of young viewers. The incident brought the forest into a sharp international spotlight. The resulting backlash forced a conversation about the ethics of content creation, the reality of mental health struggles, and the human cost of internet notoriety. If you look closely past the markers of tragedy, however, the forest is teeming with vitality. Feathery moss, native bats, and an intricate ecosystem thrive in an environment that should be entirely barren. This is a habitat built directly on top of the devastation of a volcanic eruption. It is an environment that continually turns obliteration into a foundation for new life. Wandering here, where every turn looks the same and the way out feels lost, creates a landscape that mirrors the internal struggle of a mind searching for a path that seems impossible to find. Those brightly colored ribbons wrapped around trees tell a different story than one of sheer despair. They represent hesitation. They are a literal, clinging thread of human hope that a path back to the outside world can still be found. Walking these silent halls is a prompt to look at the struggles this forest represents with sober eyes. It serves as a reminder to hear someone's voice before they choose to vanish into the green.